All right, welcome back to the Pond Hockey Eagles post-game show with the gang. I'm Mike Misnelli, Derek Gunn, and Seth Joyner. Eagles win today 25-20. When you look at this game, I can point to three specific plays that I think shaped this game today. Even though the Bears were game, they hung in there. They probably hung in there a little too long for our taste. But the first one I thought was in the first half when the Eagles were down 6-3. The Bears got it on a turnover. They were poised to score again. The Eagles stopped that and pushed them back to the point where they had the punt. Then there was the kickoff return by Boston Scott to start the second half. And then, of course, later in the game, the 68-yard pass from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown, which gave them their 25th point and took them out of harm's way. Even though the Bears scored late, it really didn't matter. So the Eagles now 13-1, fellas. And, when we wrap this game up, the Eagles are better than the Bears. They're going to have games like this where they just survive, but they're 13-1. They got Dallas next week.
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't the sharpest game, especially in the first half, but they did enough to get what they needed out of this game. And, the thing is, this team is so deep and so talented across the board that they can make mistakes and overcome mistakes that other teams cannot overcome. And when they needed a big play on defense, it was Josh Sweat. It was Javon Hargrave, getting a sack. They got the one turnover on the end around to the wide receiver for the Bears and stop that drive. And I thought, we thought the Bears were going to go down and put a minimum 3 points on the board. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. It just has to be efficient when it has to be. And that's what this team is about. We don't look at pretty wins, ugly wins. All we care about is the W's and the L's. The bottom line is they have 13 W's and only one L.
Yeah, 13's a nice number, even though it's supposed to be unlucky.
Yeah.
It feels good, 13-1.
First of all, I think that, there are matchup issues, around the league. Some teams just match up better with you. It's like opponents. Like, in my playing days, I played against, a guy who I shall not name, that just gave me fits. Everybody else, it was a seamless game.
Why won't you name him?
Because.
You don't want to give him credit?
Oh, come on, name him.
But everyone else was seamless. But this guy just gave me fits in every way, shape, fashion, or form. It is all about getting the wins at this point. But I think that we need to really pause and give some credit to this defense, because you really got to look really deep into what's going on here to really get it and understand. We look at the successes that the offense has. We look at the successes, when you think about 363 yards rushing. You think about 380 yards passing. You think about two wide receivers, over 100 yards receiving today. But when you really stop and think about it, this defense has held the line in many a game in order for the defense to kind of find their way and figure out what they wanted to do and how they were going to attack the other side of the ball. The last 2 weeks leading into this game, they had 13 sacks. They check in today with 6 more. That's 19 sacks, in the last 3 games. You talk about the turnover. They turn it over, sack, put them in a situation where they got a punt on a short field where they started in field goal, in good field goal position. So when you look at this defense, I don't think we're giving the defense as much credit. And you know what? We talk about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Miles Sanders at certain points in time and the offensive line, and they deserve all the credit that we give them. But I think we need to start talking about this defense as one of the elite defenses.
Listen, I can't deny that. I mean, this is now 55 sacks
for
the Eagles, and they're number one in ratings and yards per attempt against the quarterback. Coming into this game, they were 4th in completion percentage, so they've been hell on quarterbacks. And are you really going to leave people hanging? You know how many people out there go, who gave Seth fits? Are you going to leave people hanging with that?
Yeah, I am.
Derek, Google it.
You can't do that.
Who gave Seth fits?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at his iPad over to see who it was.
There is no answer for that, okay? Nowhere. The only person that could divulge that information is me, because I was in the battle for 60 minutes every time I played.
Don't want to give the guy credit? Is that what it is?
Hey, listen, I have talked about him in the past. If you really want to know, you can go and research it.
Oh,
but I'm not telling you.
I got to go into the archives. We're all friends here. You can't.
It must be a former Dallas Cowboy since you don't want to give him credit.
No, hell no, never that. I would never admit to that. But listen, man, you know how much research I do every single week before I sit up here with you guys? Come on, man. I'm not just going to give it to you.
You can't tell a partial story now,
for the people at home. This is your project for next week. All right, let's talk a little bit about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. 181 yards for A.J. Brown, ridiculous. 20.1 average. The longest, of course, is the 68. Devontae, though, 126, and most of those in the first half, an average of 25.2. I mean, they're doing this without the tight end contributing, which is amazing to me.
Look at what you just said. Okay, Devontae Smith had 126 yards receiving, right? He had 3 catches for 104 in the first half. Okay, they take that away. All of a sudden, A.J. is the go-to man in the second half, right? Miles Sanders rips off a couple of runs, but not like we're accustomed to seeing. They hit you in so many different ways, and the tight end was a non-factor in the game today.
And never is. And they still get the ball to the wide receivers.
And they still get the ball to the wide receiver. They'll go deep when they feel like it, and if they don't complete it, they'll go deep again. They'll keep coming back. If it's not to the left side, it's to the right side or down the middle. They don't care one way or the other, and they dare you to stop it, and most teams cannot stop it. They may miss on it 2 times, but they're going to hit you for that one big one, as was the case in the fourth quarter, the 68-yard bomb to A.J. Brown.
All right, you know what?
Wait a minute, before you run away, you got to look a little deeper. Do you realize that A.J. Brown has 16 targets today?
Yeah.
16 targets. I mean,
we're looking at the offense like it was sporadic, and I look at the numbers and I go, okay, that's sporadic. They were just they just bludgeoned them with big plays.
I mean, listen, even when you look at Devontae only had 8 targets. He had 5 catches for 126 yards, and 4 of those catches, 4 of those 5 catches were all in the first half. So he only caught 1 ball in the second half. The ball primarily went to A.J. in the second half once they started finding their footing, with the exception of that 1 long ball that Devontae had. But man, the numbers are crazy.
Think about this though. This team accidentally had 421 yards of offense today.
I know.
If you just watched the game but didn't look at the stats, you would never thought this team had over 400 yards of offense. And most of that they accumulated in the second half.
Well,
think about it.
Once Jalen started getting his bearings about him as far as throwing the ball was concerned, then I systematically could see the numbers begin to pile up. But when you look at the running game, I mean, Jalen Hurts ran the ball 17 times for 61 yards and 3 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, to your point, D-Gun, it was 6:28 in the second quarter before he got his first touch. I think he only had 2 carries in the entire first half of the football game, and he winds up with 11 carries for 42 yards. I mean, it's almost 4 yards a carry. Can you imagine if they were a little more committed in the beginning of the game to actually running the ball, and then you throw some serious run numbers on there with Miles incorporated on what Jalen did in the passing game in the second half? It's crazy.
Well, listen, what the Bears needed today was wide receiver insurance. What we all need is car insurance. And here's how to save 40% on your car insurance right now. Here's a message from our friends at Del Val Wide Receiver Insurance.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Val Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
All righty then. Thanks, guys. Let's start our 2-minute drill here. These are quick hitters that I give to the fellas. So let's start the 2-minute drill with this. Seth, as a player, you come off the field and you see the Cowboys, you may have even seen it in your own locker room, lose in the end to the Jacksonville Jaguars. What is your reaction as a player to that?
Oh, hell yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's a divisional foe. And, you know, the most important thing that you're in a race for right now, above and beyond anything else, is the division title.
So you're whooping it up a little bit, even though you're supposed to just take it a game at a time and kind of only make a fuss if the Cowboys lose.
Listen, I'm not going to run through the locker room with just a towel on, you know, hooting and hollering. But, you know, me and my boys, we're going to be chatting it up. You know, when the game is over, we're gonna have a sip or two as we talk about how sorry them damn Cowboys are to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There's the Cowboys, Derek. You've been in many locker rooms talking to these guys. We feel it as fans, analysts, whatever. Do players actually buy into that Cowboy thing?
Yeah, they do. It is a big rivalry to them because, you know, Dallas, even at this day and age, when they haven't accomplished anything since, the 80s, they still have this mystique about them of America's team, the star, and, you know, and Jerry Jones and all this high-profile stuff, you know, and so that gets to them. And I've always said the Eagles and the Philadelphia fan base takes the rivalry with the Cowboys more serious than the Cowboys and the fan base do. Because for the Cowboys, it's the Giants who are their like biggest rivalry, which is weird, you know, instead of the Eagles. So, yes, the Philadelphia Eagles, I guarantee you, they're celebrating this win today, but even more so because now, thanks to Jacksonville, they've been able to put a little bit more distance between themselves and the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be a big game. There's still a lot to play for the Eagles next Saturday, but there's no way Dallas is going to catch them at this point.
All right.
No way.
Question number 2 in a 2-minute drill. You had your eyeballs on Kayvon Wallace. He had to fill in now, and you said last week you needed him to step up. He came from a pedigree program. It's 4 years in now, so he needs to step up. What did you see today?
I saw him flash, and I want to be the first one. I've already got my defensive stats. I already got him sitting right there. I already got him earmarked. He led the team in tackles today with 9. Okay, tied with T.J. Edwards. They both had 9 apiece, but he had 8 solo tackles. T.J. had 5 solo tackles. This is what you need from, you know, this young player. And I saw him where he needed to be in certain situations today. I seen him come up and tackle, you know, with certainty today. And this is what they need. If you're not going to have, you know, Gardner Johnson and, you know, you're not going to have Blankenship for an extended period of time, you know, listen, every time that there's an injury, you know, and this is what I would say to him because this is how I got my opportunity. When guys get injured and you don't want your teammates to get injured, it creates opportunity for other players. And for a guy like myself, as an 8th-round draft pick, those opportunities were only going to come one time. So when the opportunity came for me to step in and show the coaches what I could do, I was prepared, I was ready, and I was going to take advantage of it. This is an opportunity for him. He wants to get on the field and play. I'm sure they want him to play. They want him to play more than they want Reed Blankenship to play. Guess what? Because they spent a draft pick on him. Reed Blankenship was an undrafted free agent. You understand what I'm saying? So they want him on the field because that makes them look good when their draft picks are actually on the field and being productive. So now's your opportunity. Step up and take the bull by the horns. Get your foot in the door, kick it open, and take one of these safety jobs and make it a real tough decision for the coaching staff when everybody's back and they're 100% healthy, how much you get to play and how much those other guys get to play.
Yeah, but look at why Blankenship was playing, because Wallace had not shown that level of consistency that they were hoping for.
And maybe D-Gun, maybe the best thing that happened for Kayvon Wallace was for Reed Blankenship to step in with all the hoopers surrounding him to get him to wake up. Because you know what the next step was? The next step was your ass is going to be up out of here and somebody else is going to come in. Now you got to go somewhere else and reestablish that you can actually play. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise for him that Reed showed up and played the way that he played, because now it's going to force him to raise his level or he's going to be out of here.
Well, I need to see a little bit more, because in Kayvon's case, it's been like that proverbial roller coaster. You just talked about he co-led in tackles today. Next week, he makes a mistake and makes us grit our teeth. So we got to get to a point with him where, or he has to get to a point for himself where he can show this organization that he can play with that consistent level. Because I guarantee you, when you look at, you think about Blankenship only gets to play because Gardner Johnson gets hurt.
Right.
We don't even know who this Blankenship is until he gets in there. We're wondering, who is this kid? And he's playing great. Now, Kayvon Wallace has got to say, wait a minute, this kid's starting to get more reps than I am? Okay, so if he's been gliding by up to this point, it's time to put up a shut-up for this young man, because if not, you're going to be looking for a new team after the end of this season.
That's exactly my point. And you know, I guess, and I get it. You know, he had a good week this week. Show us what you're going to be like next week, because it's almost a certainty that those other two guys may not be available next week. I don't know where Gardner Johnson is, but it's almost a certainty that Blankenship, you know, with a sprained knee, is probably not going to be available next week. But even so, you know, let's see, what is it? Can you stack good performances? And for me, a lot of times what it comes down to with the young players, it's not their ability or inability to play. The fact that he's been on the roster for the last 3 years kind of proves that he can probably play. The issue always is with the young guys, and why coaches have such issue with the young guys, and why coaches back in my day hated young players, is that they don't understand the importance of preparation. The preparation is important. Why? Because the game is too fast for you to be standing there when the ball is snapped and you going through the thought process of what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to be. Okay, you prepare yourself, so everything is second nature. My key does this, my reaction is this, because my key tells me whether it's run or pass, the release of the wide receiver that I'm keying or the tight end that I'm keying tells me that it's run or pass. His release inside or outside tells me what the route combinations could possibly be. So in a lot of ways, it really boils down to preparation, you know. And if Kayvon Wallace wants to ascend to the level that I know he wants to ascend to, then he's got to prepare. You know, everything else externally that's going on in your life, put it on the back shelf, okay? Because you got about 8 weeks of football left, 9 weeks of football left, you know, and it really matters. And this is an opportunity for you to prove that you belong. Put it aside and spend that extra time preparing. Not only when you're at the complex, you got an iPad with everything on it. When you get home at night, study. Get your game plan out. Study your game plan. Take notes, you know, because the more stuff you can commit to memory, the more reactive you are. If you don't remember stuff that you see and stuff that you study in preparation and game planning, it's always you're trying to think. In defensive football, you can't think. The offense knows where it's going. They know what the play is. They know what the snap count is. Everything that we do is read and react on the defensive side. And if you're not anticipating, you're a step behind.
All right, here's the most important 2-minute drill question. And it's being talked about now. I saw it in the Philadelphia Inquirer today discussing the financial situation and whether or not you would like to sign Jalen Hurts right now to maybe get him under market, where those quarterbacks' contracts are way. But here's the problem. They've got a lot of guys that they also have to think about re-upping. Miles Sanders, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kazir White, Bradbury, guys like that. So they have to manage this pretty well. Would you try to get in right now with Jalen Hurts ahead of time so you can get a better contract, or do you wait knowing that there are other guys that you might not be able to sign if you wait?
Well, the Eagles are in a good situation in this regard. He's still in that rookie contract. Even if they can't come to a meeting of the minds, they could franchise him. Now, it's going to cost them a lot more, but not as much as if he gets that contract similar to what a Kyler Murray got. The quarterback is going to break the market no matter what. If he gets that MVP award as well, the numbers are going to go up significantly. Now, technically, they don't have to pay him next year because he will still be in that rookie contract, and you can sign more guys if you want to. They're not going to keep everybody. You have to make way for development. You got 2 first-round picks next year also. So if a C.J. Gardner-Johnson walks, a Kazir White walks, Bradbury walk, what are you going to do? I got to draft a cornerback. I got to draft another linebacker. They're in a good situation. You can't afford to pay everybody. Now, I can see Howie Roseman restructuring some more contracts like he's done in the past to try to get some guys, more guys he wants in there. But you're going to have to let guys go. If I'm Eagles, though, I want to sign Jalen Hurts as soon as I can. Because if he has another year like he did in 2023, yep, it's going to go up even more so, which you could end up in a situation like the Rams. Look at what the Rams did. The Rams sold the farm for 1 year. Now they got to start at the bottom, work their way back up to the
So
top.
it might
again.
be safer to jump the gun now
Absolutely.
rather than later, where you're going to really get pounded.
Absolutely.
Seb?
If I'm Jalen Hurts' agent, there's not a snowball's chance in hell we signing anytime soon. No way. No way. And Jalen would be foolish to sign right now. Okay? Let Lamar set the market. Let Lamar set the market, whatever that might be, because it's always going to be advantageous to you. Now, I heard some guy, on the radio the other day talking about, oh, well, do you think that Jalen Hurts, would take a discount, so that we can keep the team? And I thought the host that asked this question, I thought it was a phenomenal question. He said, if Jalen Hurts was your son, what would you tell him to do?
Exactly.
I mean, what a response, okay? So everybody doubted you. Nobody believed that you could ascend to the heights that you've ascended, okay? So you're certainly not going to sign any kind of extension before you find out whether you're the MVP or not.
So you're going to bet on yourself.
You're
That's what you're saying.
Well, but listen, even if he waits to the offseason, you're not necessarily betting on yourself. You're playing this thing out, because if you win the MVP and the Eagles win the Super Bowl and you win the Super Bowl MVP, guess what? You got them by the cojones now.
Yeah.
You write your own number. And isn't that what we all in your industry and my industry that I'm now in, when I played, it was the same way. You always try to level the playing field for yourself in the business in which you're in, so that when people see your value, that they'll pay you what your true value is, instead of telling you what it is that you're worth. And he's in a position to do that. Why would you ever give that away?
All right, I got you. All right, let's because we all signed under market contracts, so we know what it's like, right? Because we just wanted to be part of a team.
There you go.
Here.
Did you take a discount?
Took a hometown discount.
You took the hometown discount?
I did. I was taking a break because on the other side, John McMullen, who covered the game for JAKIB Sports, he's on the other side. We'll get the John McMullen analysis on the Eagles' 25-20 win today.